governor is considering now to try and slow the spread.
I like to take any precaution that I can, especially to keep my dog safe.
And coyote concerns in Southbury after somebody's dog was attacked. What wildlife officials there say you need to know. And a hiring headache for Connecticut's restaurant industry with no end in sight. How the pandemic and public transportation are both playing a role.
In your first alert forecast, the humidity and the smoke both have been whooshed out to sea. We've got some great weather to talk about. We'll detail it in your first alert forecast next.
Looking forward to that. That's a look at some of your top news and weather. Stay with us. NBC Connecticut Today at 4:30 is next.
This is NBC Connecticut Today at 4:30.
And right now on NBC Connecticut Today at 4:30, more new cases of COVID-19 popping up in Connecticut. What is driving that increase, and what are state officials doing to try to get ahead of the spread? And people in Southbury on alert for coyotes after a too close for comfort encounter. And we've got some good news finally in the forecast as we take a live look here over New Haven. Meteorologist Maxon cooking up what you can expect in the day ahead. Good morning. Thanks so much for waking up with us. I'm Heidi Voight. Ted has the day off. Let's get you over to Bob with a check of your first alert forecast. Finally, the bearer of good news.
Yeah, you can feel it when you walked outside. It's just beautiful outside right now. Stars are out, the humidity's gone, and there's a breeze blowing out of the northwest, and that's a good weather direction. Gorgeous scene here, of course, in New Haven. Nice, the bridge all lit up in blue this morning. On radar, nothing to worry about. The air coming out of Canada is nice and clear. Now, there is always a but. It's beautiful out there, but it's also kind of cool at upper levels of the atmosphere. So watch what happens with future radar. We have abundant morning sun. I'm talking about bright blue skies, no more smoke. And then as we go through the midday, some puffy clouds form, and there might be one little sprinkle. Consider yourself really unlucky, or go play the lottery if you get a sprinkle, because the odds are very small. Temperatures, greater Hartford area, check this out. Down to 55 in Stafford, 56 in Somers, and 62 right now in West Hartford. There can be a few little patches of fog right along the ground, but really not a problem at all. The atmosphere is just ultra dry. Temperatures are in the lower to middle 60s near the water, and those water temperatures between about 70 and 76. So today, there's the sun, there's the puffy clouds, and again, later this afternoon, one sprinkle chance. And along the Connecticut shoreline, bright, beautiful sun. You get to the beach. The sun is warm, the air is dry for the first time in a long time, and a few puffy clouds form. It's a great day to get out there early and stay late at the beach. Coming up, I'll look at your forecast going forward. How long does it stay comfortable? We'll answer that coming up.
Okay, Bob, thank you. Well, right now the state is seeing more new cases of COVID-19 and more people hospitalized. Connecticut now talking with neighboring states about the issue, even thinking about travel restrictions. NBC Connecticut's Jennifer Joas is live from Hartford with the very latest on the numbers here. Jen, this is not the direction we want to be heading.
It's absolutely not. Good morning to you, Heidi. And Governor Lamont says that he is considering making some decisions and putting in some travel restrictions at this point. It's going to be at least a week, though, before anything is announced.
We got states like Arkansas and Missouri and Florida where the infection rate is 10 times ours. So it is something we ought to be looking at.
Now, as for a mask mandate, Lamont says he does not plan on changing the mask rules, but masks may be required in schools this fall. Now, this is after more people started testing positive for COVID in our state and more people are being hospitalized. The Department of Health says that since February, 90% of people who were hospitalized with COVID were unvaccinated, and that's why they continue to make a push on people getting vaccinated, especially in pockets of the state with low vaccination rates. Now, as for the travel restrictions, there are a lot of questions, right? Because the last time we had travel restrictions, vaccines were not widely available, and I'm going to be interested, I think many of us will be interested to see what Governor Lamont comes up with, and will there be different rules for those who are vaccinated versus unvaccinated, we'll have to wait and see. Live here in Hartford, Jennifer Joas, NBC Connecticut News. Back to you.
All right, Jen, and on a related note, we're learning this morning that Connecticut is getting $8.5 million to cover the cost of COVID testing. The House Appropriations Chair, Rosa DeLauro, says the second grant from FEMA to reimburse the state for expenses paid during the pandemic is coming soon. And Connecticut is also getting $300 million from a landmark settlement to help fight the opioid epidemic. 3 major drug distributors, AmerisourceBergen, Cardinal Health, and McKesson, along with Johnson & Johnson, have all agreed to pay $26 billion for their role in the nation's opioid crisis. That money will be paid out over the next 18 years across the country and will go to addiction treatment programs.
Walking side by side with these families, with the people that struggle, not just today, but for every day hereafter.
The settlement to me means that so many people and families who are going through what my family went through, you know, addiction is treatable and it's preventable.
Johnson & Johnson has also agreed to stop selling opioids. The other companies will set up systems to detect suspicious prescriptions and control how often they're being shipped. The Jewish Federation of Greater Hartford has hired its first security director as anti-Semitic threats continue to rise nationwide. Law enforcement veteran John Colangelo will be working to improve security and emergency plans at synagogues, schools, and community centers across Connecticut. He recently retired from the Canton Police Department after 24 years on the force. Well, happening today, a warning about coyotes in Southbury, where the town's animal control officer says a dog was attacked by one and is now being monitored for rabies. This happened earlier this week near Platt Park, and it wasn't an isolated incident. He says there were several other attempted attacks. Veterinarians we spoke to say if this happens to your dog, bring them in right away so they can test for infection.
You know, they're best not to handle the wound unless there was heavy bleeding. Then they would, just like you would with any bleeding wound, is to apply pressure to stop the bleeding, and then again immediately get the animal to the veterinarian.
Now, the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection says to avoid attacks like that, keep your pet leashed. And if you are approached by a coyote, they say, don't turn your back and run. Instead, try to calmly back away and leave the area. Happening now, Waterbury is looking to hit drivers with fines for out-of-state license plates. There's concerns that those drivers may not be paying taxes to the city like everybody else. A new proposal on the books would fine people $250 for failing to properly register their vehicle. Under state law, you've got 90 days after moving here to change your plates. A public hearing is set for next month. It's 4:36 right now, still to come on NBC Connecticut today. It's an Olympics like no other. What's happening in Tokyo to keep athletes safe and the hurdles that organizers had to clear to make it to this point. And Connecticut is well represented on the world stage as UConn basketball legend Sue Bird is named a Team USA flag bearer. We've got her reaction.
The hurdles we needed to clear. Oh, I see what you did there. Good morning, everybody. Step outside. During the commercial break, go ahead. You can go outside and take a big old deep breath in. Yeah, breathable, livable, beautiful air has invaded. We'll talk about it next.